thank you for being here. Thank you for the film. It was really lovely to rewatch it too in the cinema. I'll start with a few questions and then we can open it up to the audience. But I figured maybe before we get into this film itself, I was wondering if you could share just how the two of you met and came to sort of realize that you can collaborate on a film together.
We met. Okay, we are a couple of filmmakers, but also a couple in real life. So we met like any couple.
So maybe let's talk about how we met. You didn't expect this?
No, well, all right. Well, you maybe to put it a different way. To put it a different way, you made a short together before this too, right? So maybe could you tell us how that short prepared you for this film, and I guess just how you came to realize you would work on a feature together?
So actually so we met just at the start of COVID, the big lockdown, and I think the idea for this film was already there before we made the short. The short was like an attempt to keep ourselves busy during the COVID. It was like, let's try to do something together because of the situation around us. But the idea for this film was already there because we were just sharing about our films and talking about the Treehouse, Qui's previous film. And at some point, one evening, he mentioned that something about Miss Howe, the main character in this film, that if her valley got flooded, which is usually what happens during the rainy season, she would take a boat and go back to her cave rowing the boat. And I don't know, but talking about that, this image kind of clicked for both of us, and we thought, but this could be another film, and this could be a film that we would make together. Because before that, on my side, I had been working for a very long time in Laos, on the other side of the border, on a documentary. So we kind of knew already intimately this territory, and the image of Miss Howe rowing a boat to her cave kind of stayed with us until we remember that under our bed there was this old Bolex camera that a friend lent me, but I had never used it. And we thought that if we were going to start something together, we should also try to explore a new language, something that was new to both of us. And using this camera would be a new experience, and it kind of, I don't know, the idea of, because this is an entirely mechanical camera, so you have to crank and then you can shoot for like 30 seconds. And it kind of clicked with the idea of rowing a boat back to a cave. There was something very essential about that.
And I think the short film that we made together, it helped a lot for the making of this film. Because I think it's always not so easy to co-direct, and especially it's more complicated when you are in a relationship and then you work together, when everything mix and that kind of thing. So we experienced that during make the short film, and then we learned something. And for this film, we decided that Nicolas, most of the time he will film. So on set, he filmed, and only Nicolas could see what would become the film. And then during the editing, I will edit. And we work like that.
Yeah, because actually the short film was quite a tough experience to co-direct. And I think it was very good because after the short film, when we started to work on this one, we knew how to respect the flow of each other, and in a way that, because there is a sort of magic going on when each of us has their own flow, and being with the camera and Quý being with the editing, we know how not to interfere sometimes. But of course we communicate, but we also know how to leave the other working in his flow.
So this film began with this image that you were discussing. Quý, can you like tell us what it was like to go back to Miss Howe and to like re-engage with this world through filmmaking? Especially since, I don't know if you want to get into, for those who haven't seen it, The Treehouse is dealing with her, but in a very different way, I think. And so I'm just wondering how you, I guess we're thinking about responding to that film in some way, but also doing something entirely new as well with Nicolas.
So I think I knew Miss Howe, I think around 2017, 18. Yeah. So, and then I made a treehouse with her, and I think the nature of our relationship actually it changed from that time until now. And back then I think because I just knew her, so we could see something like that in the treehouse. There's kind of a distance between me and Miss Howe, and I think after many years, I think naturally we become closer. The distance is shorter, and then of course I also I think saw many changes in her family life, like in the treehouse. I think we saw her husband who was no longer here. So, and then her children grow up. So this kind of thing naturally I think we become kind of close friends. So I remember when we decided to make this film together, I was actually a bit nervous because since the last moment I contacted her, it's already like a few years, I think. And then I remember the first phone call, like, and then she immediately recognized me, And I felt okay. Just from the first response on the phone, I know that it's possible to make our new film, because the passion. I don't know. There's something. The readiness, the welcoming, is there on her voice. And then we came back, and because with our relationship become closer, so this film actually it's become like a family movie. The feeling and everything, the distance between the camera and her and the other characters in her family is closer than in the treehouse somehow. Yeah.
I think the big difference is that for this film something we discussed also together is that we wanted to allow ourselves to be really guided by her, and I think it's a kind of trust in her, but also in the reality, and that the reality can bring the film if we let ourselves be guided by it.
I guess I'm wondering how also the bolex. This is also this sort of secondary thing that inspired this film, and just like how that guided the process, guided the language that you were sort of forming throughout. Because Nicolas, as you said, it's a mechanical camera. There are a lot of restrictions with it, and I'm wondering how this balance between like the discipline of handling the camera like fed into the spontaneity also of using it too. And I think that dynamic plays out throughout the film in different ways.
Actually, it's I don't know. It's a risk going for a film with this type of camera, especially in these conditions. It's a risk because for 1 month we are shooting and we don't know what will come out. We cannot afford to bring the film back to Belgium to the lab and anything. So that only comes later, and there could be a lot of technical problems. We have to change the rolls under the rain, in a cave, on a boat. I mean, it's really crazy. But then there's a lot of sheer pleasure that comes with it, like the pleasure of just manipulating the film and reloading the bolex, and there's a lot of excitement and joy that goes with it, and it allows also for kind of freedom. And I think in the film you can feel this pleasure of filming, and it's something that maybe for some personal reasons I was also trying to free myself of a lot of things and not go with preconceived ideas or plans, but just go with the pleasure of what I was seeing and responding to it spontaneously.
And I think one thing very important is this practical decision at the beginning to make this film with this camera and with the knowledge of how much we would be limited by this camera. So that's the creation, knowing our limit and how to turn those limits, become the nature of the film. Like all of these are very because the camera only can roll like 30 seconds, something like that, and with the flash in the beginning and the end. And so we know that, and then we know that we couldn't have this synchronized sound, because the frame of the camera is never constant. It's always changing because with the speed of the motor, so it's changing. So the sound is synchronized by default. So we're thinking how to use that nature of the sound and the image to create. So like you see in the film, this always the sound and the image always look like never fit in, but it creates a very interesting feeling. Yeah.
And also because we knew that we were going to have something very fragmentary, so we think from there. We know that we are going to have this material, so the idea of using words and text on the image also came because we know what kind of material we're going to have with this camera.
Yeah, just going off what both of you are saying, like the thing that immediately struck me about your film when I first watched it is that there's so many cuts in this film, and you tend to associate the frequency of cuts with like a faster paced type of film, but your film throughout maintains this really deliberate, dreamy quality, and I'm just wondering how you thought about that restraint in terms of the short amount of time you have to shoot footage, and how you use that in the edit. I mean, is this where sort of the sound design comes in? Because I think that has a lot to do with our experience actually watching the footage.
So it's true that there are so many cuts in this film, and I think most of the shot in this film is like we kept like completely. Like how you say that,
Unedited.
Yeah, unedited.
Yeah.
And even some part I kept like the same order like when we were filming, because we film a lot of shot of image, and it's not in any particular order. And then when we develop the film, and then when we see the rush it, and then somehow somewhere these three shots randomly stay in net to each other, makes sense. So we keep that. And I think, and also one of very important decision is that we try not to overthink during the editing, because it's how to create something that can stand on itself at the end as a film, but not over smart, something like that. And I think because we shot the film like in 3 years in total, with 2 years in between the first shooting and the second shooting. So with that 2 years in between, I have time to make a rough cut, and then we came back for the second shooting with the more or less clear idea of what we would need, and it also helped to make the film in a way narratively clearer. Yeah, and it's also the part that when we see the boy grow up, that's when we try to embrace the change of these 2 years. Yeah, it was not in our intention in the beginning, but basically we just try to embrace everything until we cannot swallow anymore, so we have to throw it out. So it's the film.
I'll ask one more question, then we can open it up to the audience. But Nicolas, you brought up the film's sort of play with language, and you mentioned in your introduction that this movie is about sharing. And I mean, really right at the beginning, this film is kind of, to some degree, functioning as a kind of like catalog or inventory or dictionary in some way. I mean, it's clearly it's preserving like a culture and language in many ways, and I'm wondering when this like dimension of the film occurred to you.
I don't think it occurred at a precise moment, but I remember during the first shooting, there was a moment when we went to Saigon with Mehao. It's in the film. So, and we filmed in Saigon with her, and we also took this opportunity to record her voice in a studio with a friend there, and we were recording just some stories. And then at some point we thought, let's just record separate words in her language, because she also acts, not only she guides the film, but she also acts as a translator for us, because between Ruc and Vietnamese, and for me English, of course. So when you teach someone a language, or you just repeat some words, some basic words. So we thought, okay, let's record just separate words. And I think little by little it kind of clicked with the fragmentary nature of the images. And we thought we are going to have a lot of shots of natures, dogs, houses, everything in this film. So it kind of fits with the words. And I think this kind of developed naturally from there.
Yes, and actually I think we didn't have the idea to, how you say, I think at the end the film becomes something like a documentation of the language, even though it's a very small part in the culture. We didn't have that intention to do something to preserve, But I think the main idea is to create something that somehow makes sense between the image and the vocabulary of her language, and also in this narrative between the transmission from her to her grandchildren. So okay, this kind of thing basically is how to create the meaning between the image and the language. Yeah.
But it became the nature of the film because it's also her. It's like when we watch her cooking the herbal medicine. We are like children watching our grandmother cook something like mysterious, almost magical, and there's this the pure pleasure of knowing what is the recipe. So we want to hear her telling us the recipe, and we want to film that, and that happens to be the film.
Okay, we can take some audience questions. Please raise your hand, and before speaking, just wait for a mic to come to you. We can start with you.
Thanks. You actually just talked about transmission, and it feels like that's a big part of the film. Something that also feels like is that it's being transmitted to us, and it sort of happens in the edit a couple of times where the kid's getting a haircut, and then in the edit, it's almost like that's influencing what happens next, or the kids peeling the bark, and then it goes to black, or at the end, it's like the end black title plate that we expect, but still you have like the fireflies, right? So could you talk about that, the way that this sort of influenced the edit and how that transmission is passed to us?
Let's see. There are a lot of things happen during the shooting. For example, I think I try to understand your question. Like, if you remember the shot that the kid peeling off the skin of the tree, I think it's totally what he played with, whatever. And then later, and then exactly at that moment, the film roll out.
Yeah.
And so I think it happens like that, and then I try to keep that moment, and then it creates something. It at that moment, by accident, the action of the character and the image and the medium, it become one. And also later, when we see the story about the paper, suddenly I think it's partly the image of the kid peeling the skin come before, but then when we see that image, and then we know that there's a story of the paper and then people harvesting, we try to film that, and also it create the sort of connection. Yes.
There are a lot of things that were not planned and that we couldn't have imagined before. If we had started with trying to conceptualize the film, we wouldn't have made this film. Like the harvesting of the acacia forest, we just filmed it because it was happening next to her village, and at that moment we didn't know what we would do with it. It just felt right. Somehow we had a feeling that we should film this, and then it kind of connected, but in a very vague and floating way with the idea of paper and writing. We thought, okay, this is emotionally it connects, and so we advance like that day by day. We move a bit like this, and then at some point the Doan, the little boy, we were talking with him, and he mentioned that he had never been to the sea, so we had the idea to, okay, on the last day of the shooting, let's bring him to the sea. And a lot of things come like that, like branches on a tree that grow here and there, but somehow they all connect emotionally.
But I don't know, maybe I guess for the audience, like the ending scene when the boy repeating after her, I think at that moment I have that idea that maybe if if the audience also repeat after her, it's nice, So, but I think that feeling, I think maybe the audience have that when we hear the voice of her, and then the boy repeating, especially when he cannot repeat well. Mm-hmm. So maybe we want to jump in and repeat. So, yeah.
Take you right there.
Thank you so much, Nicolas, and for like the movie. I really appreciate that, and I was wondering, like, why did you choose the point of and you just kind of explained the backstory of how it was almost becoming like a family story, like her own story and a personal project kind of, but why did you choose the point of view of the story to tell from Bà Cao Thị Hậu? And just like a fun question, I'm wondering, have you ever showed the movie to her?
You want to answer about the point of view? Why do we choose to tell the story from her point of view? I think we just wanted to... I remember we had this conversation. It was about the treehouse and also about the previous documentary that I had made. And we were both, I think, frustrated with the idea, with the... the framing of the protagonist, the concept that we sometimes create around our protagonist, because maybe we don't feel so secure with our film or with the reality. And I remember that with Mehao, we really wanted to be guided by her and to, that she guides the film.
We would like to make a film like this kind of a family movie, when you point the camera as your family, like your parents, your children. So, yeah. And also, actually, there's one part in the film that a bit set up, which is not in the film, I mean, during the shooting. And when we saw that, we knew that it didn't belong to the film, because suddenly the point of view changed, and the audience can feel that okay, this is like a reenactment, something like an acting. So okay, I think it's not belong to the film. That's why we didn't put it in the film.
I think we really wanted to achieve some kind of immediacy, something very immediate and spontaneous with this film. And
we'll see the film soon at the end of this month.
Yeah.
In a festival. Yeah. So we're planning to travel together.
She already saw a rough cut in
Actually, Yassi, the one who saw the rough cut, and she translated.
Yeah, she translated for us already.
So she worked a lot. So.
Yeah.
You had a question here? Raise your hand high so they can see.
Thank you. Wow. I really feel like it was floating, and it was just absolute pleasure to watch it. So thank you very much for making this. My question is very practical. Is there a distribution lined up for this film? I have so many people I want to recommend this to. So what's the plan like?
Well, do you know any distributors? No,
well,
so far.
We okay, very candid answer. We have distributor in Belgium, but this kind of film, I think we need somebody who loves cinema to distribute.
Behind, right?
I very like the end of the movie when the main character teach her grandson some language words, and you also talk about your thoughts about the relationship between the images and the language. So I was wondering, how did you come up with the idea that you put that thing at the end of the movie with the scenery of the cave and the water floor? Yeah. And also have a second question. Is that okay? Yeah, because you also talk about you during the filmmaking process, you and the main character's relationship becomes closer. So I really understand this very pressure when you are making a documentary. And I was wondering if you could give some advice, how to build such strong relationship with your character. Thank you.
So I think the ending, yeah. It's hard to decide to answer why we come to such an ending, but we want to see the cave again at the end, and in a way it's a very kind of clear. How do you say? It's the clear expression of our emotion, the water, and then see. The water actually in that moment bring us back to the cave, and then it's hard to answer now. At 11 p.m.
We have 10 minutes.
I think about the ending, it was actually very difficult to. I mean, we had a sort of rough cut ending when you edited it, and it was just the sky with the leaves, with the trees, and in the rough cut it worked, but it lacked something. So we thought, okay, it would be perfect if we entered the cave like that, and it was a good idea, but it was extremely hard to make with our small camera and the boat and everything. But in the end, it worked.
And that one small detail, what most I think emotional for us is when the boy couldn't pronounce well, and it's an accident, but we keep that, and I think that say a lot about the struggling to learn a language.
And I think about the next part of your question is really about spending time and being relaxed.
But I have to admit, we are lucky
she's great
to know her, because of course maybe somebody will be difficult, but she's super easy and open, and it's helped a lot. So
it's very playful, and she has more energy than both of us.
Yes, very playful. Yes.
Okay, we got the cutoff sign and as you mentioned, it's late, so we'll have to end here. But I guess we can always continue the conversation outside. Thank you so much for your film.
Thank you.
For being here.